Our story begins not long ago. There was a young girl who was a leader of a band of pirates. Her name is Tetra. Her pirates sailed across a region of the world known as the Great Sea. It is home to dozens of small scattered islands, and a scattered population of people. One of those people was a young boy dressed in green. His name is Link. When Link and Tetra crossed paths, they began an adventure that saw them sailing throughout the Great Sea, battling monsters and discovering a lost kingdom beneath the waves. Its name was Hyrule. While in Hyrule, Link and Tetra would learn that the pirate princess is descended from the Hyrulean royal family, which would make her the Princess Zelda, if she had lived in that ancient age. That also made her the target of an ancient evil who plagued the kingdom, the villainous Ganon. He captured Tetra in order to get a hold of a piece of the sacred artifact, the Triforce, which she held. Link took on trials and challenges and assembled the third piece of the Triforce, becoming a true hero. Together with Tetra, he defeated Ganon. The kingdom of Hyrule was fully flooded, to be revived no more, and Tetra and Link set off to sail in search of new adventures with the wind as their guide. This is Legendary Adventures, a Legend of Zelda playthrough podcast. This week we're starting Season 13, which is all about the 14th mainline title in the Legend of Zelda series, Phantom Hourglass. In this episode, I'll talk about the opening of the game through the first dungeon, the Fire Temple. Before we go further, let's talk a bit about the introduction of the game. Phantom Hourglass is a direct sequel to The Wind Waker, and it begins with a recap of the events of the previous game, told with cards decorated with cute paper cutouts. The story is being told by Nico, the low man in the pirate hierarchy of Tetra's ship. He is short of stature with a triangular nose and buck teeth. He wears a blue bandana and a striped shirt. He's presenting the cards using a wooden box. It's an example of a Japanese paper theater, or kamishibai. According to the website Your Secret Japan, kamishibai is a form of storytelling that rose to popularity in Japan during the Great Depression. It apparently was presented as a street performance and has roots in an even older form of Japanese storytelling. Artist Yuri Adachi created the kamishibai illustrations in the game. They are not only featured in the opening, but at other key points in the story as well. Aonuma liked the kamishibai pictures so much he wanted to use one as the game's cover. He said they held a poll to decide the cover art in Japan. He supported a kamishibai cover. He told Nintendo Dream, "It was an image like none other in Zelda history. It gave you the feeling of the series being reborn." But that particular cover design was not so popular in the poll. Ultimately, the team went with an illustration of Link and his companions sailing together for the cover in both Japan and Europe. Following the Wind Waker recap, we learn that Tetra and her pirate crew are looking for a ghost ship, rumored to be causing trouble. Tetra is the pirate princess, descended from the line of the royal family of Hyrule. She has blonde hair which she wears in a bun on top of her head. She wears a blue vest, white pants, and a red kerchief. It's notable that Tetra is referred to as Zelda during the opening, but she shoots down that use of the name. Tetra is not Zelda, thank you very much. She does not believe that they will find this ghost ship. She does not believe that there is such a thing, saying that it must be another pirate crew causing trouble. But speak of the devil, the ship appears, and it certainly is ghostly. The ship emerges from a deep fog. Its prow is decorated with a golden horned skull. Two golden skeletal arms hold ghostly blue lanterns on either side of the skull. The wood of the ship is worn an ashy gray. The stern of the ship is decorated with eye designs. Tetra quickly leaps aboard to investigate. As soon as she boards, there's a flash of lightning, and Tetra screams. Link attempts to follow as the ship begins to sail away. He doesn't quite make the jump. He hangs off the side before falling into the sea. A vision of Tetra appears. She disappears into a black void. Link awakens to a voice calling him. He's lying on the beach of an island unknown to him. The voice belongs to Ciela. She's a fairy and glows with a white light, making it difficult to make out her body. Her dragonfly-like wings, however, are clearly visible. Ciela explains that she was fluttering about when she found Link passed out on the beach. Link says nothing, but he is still able to communicate the story of the ghost ship and Tetra's disappearance. Ciela says she's heard people talk about the ghost ship. Supposedly, people who are taken are never seen again. Ciela recommends Link see someone that she refers to as Grandpa to learn more. She's an amnesiac, and was rescued by Grandpa when she washed up on the beach, similarly to Link some time ago. Ciela shows Link where her house is, then gives him a quick explanation of walking, which is needed due to an all-touch control scheme. Then, control is handed over to the player for the first time. The walk to Grandpa's house is not far. Players are sure to notice that Ciela acts a bit like a cursor. She goes wherever we touch the screen, and Link follows. Movement is simple and feels pretty good. Grandpa's name is Ocious. He is indeed an old man with a gray shaggy beard and long gray hair tied in a loose topknot. He wears a green robe, a blue vest, and holds a red staff topped by a red conch shell. Ocious has a musical theme all his own. It features plucked harp strings and a melody on flute, which develops with a steady, pulsing bass underneath. It is a theme with melancholy behind it, but also an air of majesty. Ocious says the ghost ship is powered by pure evil. He urges Link not to seek it out, but quickly realizes that Link will not heed such advice. So, Ocious points Link toward a ship captain who has also recently paid him a visit, in order to get information on the ghost ship. The captain's name is Linebeck. We're told he's at the dock on the east side of the island. Ciela says she'll tag along to help Link find Linebeck. However, the moment we try heading there, an earthquake shakes the island. According to Ciela, these quakes and monsters are becoming more common on the island. Just to the east of Ocious's home, we find a stone bridge collapsed into the river. A woman stands nearby and explains the bridge breaks every time there's a large quake. She reveals there is a second way to town, but it's through a cave packed with monsters. This is the point where the tutorial truly begins. We have only a small area to move around in. We can visit Ocius's home, a cave that Ocius uses for storage, but we can't do much there yet. Ocius has a neighbor who teaches Link that he can talk to people by tapping on them. It's a simple and direct form of control that really won the Zelda team over to touch control gameplay. A translation of a Nintendo Dream interview in 2007 was posted to the now defunct website Zentendo. In it, producer Eiji Aonuma said, "It removes the need to consider separately which way to move and then what sort of action to perform. We felt liberated from the slightly stilted convention where you first have to move up to an object in question, then press a button to make something happen." And the really interesting thing is that as we worked on this system, it became a source of inspiration for all sorts of new ideas. Link can also pick up objects by tapping them. If we clear all the rocks out in the man's yard, he'll reward Link with 1 whole rupee, and reveal a spot where Link can find a bigger prize by bashing a tree. We will find very direct hints to mark notes on our map throughout the adventure. Aonuma told Nintendo Dream these hints were added, since the direct note-taking concept was a new form of gameplay. When Link and Ciela attempt to head north toward the cave, they immediately run into a pack of monsters. Red slime monsters known as choo-choos, which normally would be no issue, but Link is unarmed. We can only assume his sword was lost during his dip in the ocean. If we return to Ocius, he will again urge us to simply wait until the bridge is fixed. Upon leaving his home, Ciela points out the obvious need for a sword. We enter Ocius's storage room, and Ciela will tell us that Ocius has a sword stowed away. She can recall that in order to open the storeroom, we need to write a number on a sign. We can find that number by counting the number of palm trees on the beach. We run down to the beach and count them. How you run that count is up to you. You could flex your note-taking ability and mark each tree, or you could just run by the trees and count them without marking a thing. I did that, marking only a final total of 7 on my map. We then write the total on the sign in the storeroom to open the door and claim the sword. The moment we exit the storeroom, we find Ocius. He knows we have taken his sword without permission, but after some urging from Ciela, he agrees to allow Link to take it, provided that Link receives training on how to use it. Formalized required tutorials on how to use the sword have become fairly common in the series by this point. There was a required sword tutorial in The Wind Waker and Twilight Princess both. The sword tutorial here is perhaps justified, considering the new touch-based control scheme. Tapping targets will cause Link to perform a leaping attack. Drawing an arching sweep in front of Link will make him slash. Drawing a circle around him makes him perform a spin attack. We breeze through the tutorial and head north, making quick work of the choo-choos. As we proceed down the path, we come across a gossip stone. When we hit it, it offers a hint. This one teaches us how to roll. We do so by drawing small circles on the edge of the screen. We roll into a tree as instructed and net a red rupee. We slice through a few more monsters and trees in order to reach the cave. The tutorials continue. The cave walks us through concepts wordlessly. We first come across a locked door. A quick chime and the slightest of camera movements emphasizes it. Just to the east of the door, we find the chest with the key. Through the door, we are presented with 4 switches on the wall. A tablet nearby tells us to pull the correct ones, or else. There are 2 side rooms with blocks in their entryways. By this point, players should know to tap on blocks and make something happen. If they don't, a second tablet will offer a tutorial tip. When we tap a block, arrows appear on the screen, allowing us to push or pull the blocks. In the side rooms, we find 2 more tablets, one on each side, that outline the order to pull the switches. The tablet on the left gives us the first switch to pull. The tablet on the right gives us the second and final. We fill in the third based off simple process of elimination. As we get this information, Ciela encourages Link to write down what he learns, and teaches him a shortcut that allows him to call down his map by pressing the down button. As you jot down the switch order on your map, you may notice that Link on the top screen is actually drawing on his map as you do. It's a fun little detail, and Aonuma highlighted it in multiple interviews as one of his favorite touches in the game. It's easy to miss. Aonuma himself admitted to missing it at first. He mentioned in interviews that his son pointed it out to him. He told Nintendo Dream, "I took it home to do some Wi-Fi tests, and my 5-year-old son got very interested in it. The truth is, I don't let him play games before they are released. But I wanted to see the reaction of a little child, so I let him play. When he was writing down something with the stylus, he said Link was writing too. I thought he was lying, but I looked at the screen and I saw it was true." He laughed. After pulling the correct switches, we get a key that allows us to continue forward through the cave. We then have a slightly trickier puzzle. The key we need to advance is in the possession of a mouse. The mouse always runs from players. It uses 2 holes, one to the east and one to the west, to escape. We use a conveniently placed block to cover one hole. Then we stand to the east of the holes, far enough away that the mouse will emerge and start to head toward that western hole. We then box it in and take it out to get the third and final key. Once through the cave, Ciela stops us. The camera shows us the path to the harbor, and Ciela reminds us what we already know. We're looking for Linebeck. She admits to not liking him much and calls him a chicken. It's here that I really took notice of the overworld music of the island for the first time. This is one of the musical themes used for the islands in the game. It's bouncy and cheery. It has an oompa rhythm, and it gives a bit of a polka vibe. It has a nice, warm, friendly vibe fitting for a pirate adventure, but one where everyone is happy and well-fed. There are 5 buildings in the port area. 3 are open, including a home, a bar, and a shop. 2 others are closed at the moment. The owner of the home tells us that a fortune teller named Astrid lives on the Isle of Ember, and is sure to have information on the ghost ship. But Linebeck is nowhere to be found. There is a man admiring his ship. He wishes the ship were his. He tells us Linebeck usually swings by the bar whenever he visits the island. We head to the bar and learn that Linebeck recently visited before departing for the Temple of the Ocean King. We can see it on our map on the northwestern side of the island. We're told the temple was built in honor of the Ocean King who defends all creation. However, we are warned a curse was placed on this temple. It now sucks out the life of people. We are warned to stay away, but of course, we head in that direction. As we head north, the music shifts, and we get our first taste of a new theme that we'll hear in many locations throughout the game. It's heavy on militaristic drums and has light pulsing strings. It's more tense than the theme that we heard in the village, but it has a feeling of determination. It has a sound of preparing for battle rather than being in a battle. As we head towards the temple, we can check out the tree that Oshus's neighbor pointed out to us earlier. Jostling it reveals a big green rupee, which is worth 100 rupees. Nice! Players are also likely to notice a crack in a wall and a pair of bombable blocks. Players who have played a Zelda game before likely know what these are, and they can mark these locations on their map. New players may not know their purpose, but they perhaps might think to mark the cracked wall under the suspicion they'll be able to recover something there later. As we approach the temple, Ciela repeats the information we heard in town about the temple being built in honor of the Ocean King, and being cursed to drain the life out of people. But she again reminds us that we're looking for Linebeck, so we should head in. Thanks, Ciela. Inside the temple, Link and Ciela find 3 skeletons lying on the ground just inside the entrance. Ciela wonders if the skeleton closest to the entrance could be Linebeck. I think we all know that it's not, but the dead bodies seem to send a clear message that the tales of a curse are true. Ghostly blue fires rise from the skeletons as we draw near, and they speak. We are told the temple will drain life and that traps inside will reset themselves, and it's all the more reason to take notes. There are monsters inside which cannot be killed that roam the temple corridors. We head deeper into the temple and find ourselves in an hourglass-shaped room. Here we meet Linebeck. He is trapped in the central part of the lower portion of the hourglass shape. Linebeck claims he sprained his ankle and so he needs our help to escape. The rules of the life-draining curse are also outlined. When Link entered the room, he was standing in an area with a glowing purple floor. There are a number of spots with purple floors scattered throughout the room. These are safe zones. Inside them, Link will not take any damage from the atmosphere of the temple. But the moment he steps out, the temple begins to drain life. There are 2 locked doors in the center of the hourglass room. One, dead center in the room, prevents us from descending deeper into the temple. There is no visible keyhole. The other is to the left of the center door, and it can be opened with a key. It prevents us from going into the upper portions of the hourglass. To the right of the center door, we find an empty treasure chest. Someone got here before we did. Next to the door with the keyhole, we find a crystal switch. When we hit it, the spikes surrounding Linebeck retract, and he books it toward the exit, no problem. As we approach the exit, we are formally introduced to Linebeck. His musical theme helps cue us in. It's a theme which feels pirate-like. It's full of bluster and braggadocio, with strings and brass trading the melody. The arrangement is accentuated by what sounds like a harpsichord to me and snare and heavy percussion. As mentioned in the last episode, it was reportedly inspired by a modern version of Japanese nana-wabashi music known as enka. Linebeck has long brown hair, a goatee, and a long blue coat. He pretends to be much braver and perhaps more competent than he actually is. That much is clear from the conversation that we have with him. It's also clear that he's obsessed with treasure. He believes the ghost ship is full of it, and in his excitement, he shakes Link so hard that our hero is knocked dizzy with swirling cartoon eyes. Linebeck admits that he came to the temple looking for information on the ghost ship, but he insists that he can't venture further into the temple. He's sprained his ankle after all, and any evidence we saw of him running was simply optical illusion. Linebeck gives Link the key to the door. Turns out he's the one who emptied the chest that we found just moments ago. Link is still a little dizzy as he accepts it. That little story sequence is one of a number that had me laughing throughout this game. Phantom Hourglass is notably lighter in tone than its immediate predecessor, and funnier. It's something that Wired noted in an interview with Aonuma in 2007. He said the decision to return to the cel-shaded style of the Wind Waker prompted this lighter tone. It's not as though there was a conscious decision to make this story lighter and the characters more funny, but because the graphics are toon-shaded, to have a really dark story with this big-eyed, toon-shaded Link running around just wouldn't fit, he said, adding, "But there are still those really strong bosses and more serious storyline in Phantom Hourglass, so there is a balance. It's not all light and humorous." We quickly move to the locked door and into the upper area of the Hourglass room. We hit crystal switches in both the top corners of the hourglass shape to lower a barrier blocking a treasure chest. Inside the chest we find a sea chart. The sea is divided into 4 quadrants, and this chart reveals the southwestern quadrant. Outside the temple, Linebeck steals the sea chart from Link and books it towards his ship. When we catch up to him at the dock, we find that Oshus is there too. He compliments Link on his heroism and bravery for entering the temple and getting the sea chart. He asks Linebeck if he was able to decipher the chart and learn where to go. Linebeck claims he could find nothing on it. Oshus hands it to us and tells us that there's one spot that's a little flaky. Link summons his inner Lotto player and scratches the map to reveal an island to the south that hides the symbol of the goddess Din. Oshus explains that this hidden island is the Isle of Ember, home to Astrid the fortune teller. As with the optional person inside the house we spoke to earlier, Oshus urges us to seek out Astrid for information on the ghost ship. And so Link and Linebeck become partners on their adventure. And Ciela is coming too. Oshus says the adventure may just help her recover her memories. Linebeck and Ciela don't really get along, but the captain is willing to travel with her if it means treasure. While Phantom Hourglass is largely presented from a top-down perspective, when we set out on the overworld the perspective shifts. The camera is behind Linebeck's ship, and the environment is treated like the fully 3D space that it is. This shift in perspective recalls Zelda 2 to a degree. In that earlier game, side-scrolling action would be considered the main form of play, but the overworld was presented with an overhead view. There was an invisible grid on that game world. On this grid, icons representing towns were placed, as well as a variety of hidden secrets and action screens that would again shift the game to a side-scrolling view. I don't think the developers were consciously channeling Zelda 2 when they designed the overworld of Phantom Hourglass. At least I saw no mention of it in the interviews that I could find. But it nonetheless has a similar vibe. The space is fully 3D and offers players control over the camera as they navigate the world. The ship is moved by drawing a route for it to follow on the sea chart. The game's islands can be seen, but players need to plot a course to specific anchorages, marked with an anchor icon on the sea chart, to actually get out and explore an island. As we sail, there are also icons representing other sailors. Players may notice an icon representing Beetle, the traveling merchant, and another boat on the far western side of the map. These boats can be boarded when players draw close to them. As we set sail, players are given a tutorial on how to operate the boat, how to set a new route, and how to start and stop the engine. And they are encouraged to keep the camera moving to keep an eye out for dangers. There are 4 visible islands in this quadrant in the realm of the Ocean King, but at this point we can't reach one of them, and we won't be able to do much on one of the islands that we have not visited yet, so it's best to head straight towards the Isle of Ember. The trip is short and uneventful. Let's pause for a second to talk about the overworld music. There are a clear nod to the Wind Waker's Great Sea theme. It opens with the same rising and falling strings that give the sensation of rolling waves. Its arrangement also seems to use many of the same instruments, though the quality of the synth on the DS does not match that of its older sibling. Despite the clear nods to the Great Sea theme, Phantom Hourglass's theme nonetheless features a unique melody. It's a lively, heroic piece which evokes a sense of triumph. The Isle of Ember is a volcano. It's an oval-shaped island with 4 tiers of elevation to represent the shape of the volcanic cone that we saw rising from the sea as we approached. There are 3 homes visible on the west side of the map, and a temple in the center near the peak of the volcano. While Linebeck will man the helm of our ship and follow any route that we give him, he will not venture onto the islands with us. That's made clear during a humorous scene the moment we arrive. Linebeck and Ciela trade barbs, while Linebeck tells Link to find Astrid, while he waits at the dock. We head out. Astrid's home sits on the 2nd tier of the island. It is not difficult to reach. There's a sign pointing the way, and a path leads right to it. It's a 2-story building with an upper floor and a basement. Astrid is nowhere to be seen when we first enter. We head down to the basement, only for a door to close behind Link and a combat challenge to begin. The room fills with Octoroks, but they fall in one hit, and we can make quick work of them. On the northeast side of the room, there is a door sealed shut. Ciela says she can feel a presence on the other side and can hear footsteps, so she says Link should call out. This is the introduction to a controversial part of the design of Phantom Hourglass. It's a game that really takes advantage of all the features of the DS, including the microphone. Players are intended to say something into the microphone to get the attention of the person on the other side of the door. I've heard many people refer to this mechanic as awkward, saying that it will, or at least could, result in an awkward moment on the bus, or even in a home. That is true. To counter that, it's the kind of feature that's designed to do just that. It can create funny moments or stories for people to tell. And if you really don't want to engage with it, you don't have to. I honestly rarely, if ever, do. You never once need to verbalize while playing Phantom Hourglass. Simply tapping the mic with your finger will do the trick. The person on the other side of the door asks for help for escaping the room. It's Astrid, the fortune teller. She's sealed inside the room to protect her against the monsters that she did not foresee coming. There is no way to open the door from inside. We're told a map hung next to the door holds the secret to opening it. Astrid's assistant, Ko, knew the trick opening the door. When we examine the map, we are told to mark the location of 3 torches on the island. To solve this puzzle, we'll need to venture out and make use of Link's note-taking skills. As we explore the island, we find a torch to the north. One to the east is on a small island. We also find a skeleton here, and the spirit of Astrid's assistant, Ko. His spirit startles Ciela, but Ko is not a bad ghost. In fact, he's not too sad about dying, saying that if you believe in fate as he does, that it's not too big a deal. He's more concerned with Astrid, and urges Link to find the torches and mark them on his map. The 3rd torch is inside Ko's home, which sits just southeast of Astrid's. We mark the torches on the map of the island inside Astrid's home, freeing her from the room where she was trapped. Astrid has red hair piled high on her head. She wears a veil over her face and a purple strapless dress. Astrid said she was locked away when the ghost ship came to the island a few days ago. She claims to have foreseen Ko's death, though she seems somewhat unsure what happened to him just a moment prior. She offers to tell Link's fortune. Linebeck is asked to join for the session, and he does. She says in order to reach the ghost ship, Link must clash with forces of darkness. The first place to do this is the fire temple on top of the island. She says Link will find what he needs to face the darkness there. With Astrid's permission, we can now open the gate to the path leading up the mountain and ascend. Linebeck, of course, bows out of any real adventuring, and we head up the mountain. As we go up the mountain, the volcano begins to erupt. Rocks fall from the sky, which we must avoid, recalling the many iterations of Death Mountain and volcanic areas from past games. We also fight enemies such as the jumping, spider-like Tektites and the electric Choo-Choos. A tablet at the peak above the temple tells us to blow out the flames to illuminate the path ahead. There are 2 giant candles on either side of the door of the temple. If we stand in front of them and blow into the DS microphone, the flames are extinguished, furthering the use of the DS microphone. When the flames are out, the door to the temple opens. Phantom Hourglass is a game that uses the features of the DS well, and I actually really like how blowing into the microphone was implemented in this game. I often hear criticisms lobbed against games like this that use motion controls or touch controls or microphone controls. Critics often say it would be possible to recreate the game using traditional button controls, which is likely true. But that does not take into consideration on how it feels to directly touch something to make the action happen, or how it feels to blow out a candle actually using your breath. Press A to blow out candle does not evoke the same feeling. Generally, when a game employs an alternate control scheme, at least when it does so thoughtfully, this alternate control scheme is the point, and it would not be the same with any other control scheme. It may still be fun with this alternate control, but the overall feeling of the players will not be the same. The Fire Temple spans 5 floors, though the 5th floor is a boss room, and the 4th floor is the antechamber to the boss room. So the true bulk of the dungeon is contained to 3 floors. It should be noted that the dungeons of Phantom Hourglass are closer in appearance to those seen in games like A Link to the Past or Link's Awakening. They are not elaborately themed, and as distinctive as those seen in titles like Ocarina of Time, The Wind Waker, or The Minish Cap. The temple features brown floors with a circular pattern and red walls covered liberally with gold geometric patterns. The dungeons in this game are also distinct in this series in that there is no map or compass to collect. Instead, players are given the map the moment they walk in. It appears on the top screen. On each floor of the dungeon, players will find a gossip stone, which replaces the compass. When hit, it will tell players how many chests remain on the floor, and offer to reveal their locations in exchange for 20 rupees. I did not pay these statues through my playthrough. I think it's more fun to find the chests on my own in Phantom Hourglass. The dungeons are small enough and the gossip stones offer a count for free that makes it relatively simple. The music is a new arrangement of the cave theme from A Link to the Past known as Dank Dungeons. The water sound effects from the original A Link to the Past version are not present. Otherwise, it sounds quite similar to the original. This music will be used for all the dungeons in this game. I enjoy the Fire Temple, but it is ultimately a fairly simple dungeon, with only one path that players are guided through. When we first enter, Ciela points out the obvious fact that flames are hot, and there are indeed flames burning in spots on the floor, and we should perhaps avoid these. The flames, and a locked door, will force players to the east when they reach the central room of the floor. Down the eastern path, players will quickly find a map of the northeastern room of the dungeon. It has a particular path drawn through it. It's a good idea to copy down this path, though we cannot enter the room just yet because of a locked door. We first have to head to the southwestern room of the temple for a combat challenge in order to get a key from a chest. We then head to the northeastern room and follow our drawn path to avoid trapped doors. At least, that's the idea. I still fell down one near the start of the path. At the end of the drawn path, we find 4 crystal switches. We activate them all at once with a spin attack to open a door to the second floor in the central room of the dungeon. The second floor introduces color-coded barriers controlled by crystal switches. When we first enter this floor, players are sent down a short looping path to hit a switch lowering the red barriers while raising the blue barriers. It's a pretty clear and direct way to introduce this now classic Zelda concept. With the barrier down, we follow the path to the south and face a combat challenge against Zol enemies. These green slime enemies are distinct from the Choo-Choos. They are more amorphous in appearance and split into 2 smaller Zol when hit. Once the room is cleared, a large white treasure chest appears with the dungeon item inside. It's the boomerang. As I mentioned last episode, the boomerang was the first item created for Phantom Hourglass, and it's a new implementation of this now classic item. Players now draw the path that the boomerang will follow. Players test this out right away by drawing a path for the boomerang to hit a crystal switch. We can also break a pot and grab a small item as well. Of course, the Zelda series has played around with boomerangs that players can direct the path of for a while. There were of course the magic boomerangs of Oracle of Seasons and the Minish Cap, which players control directly, and the boomerangs of The Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, which allowed players to set specific targets that it would hit in order. However, the Phantom Hourglass boomerang does feel distinctly different. It's due in large part to the control. Drawing the path directly changes the feel of the boomerang in a big way. It allows for more precise and elaborate paths than previous boomerangs. Speaking to Nintendo Online magazine in 2007, producer Eiji Aonuma briefly described the development of the boomerang. He said, When we were considering how to best control the boomerang, options would emerge quite naturally, such as the player should be able to choose the path to follow when it flies, or it would be great if it followed the line you draw on the screen. As I mentioned in the previous episode, it was the boomerang that convinced the developers that a touch-only Zelda game could be created. Aonuma told Nintendo Dream, "Since the boomerang has a big impact, we intentionally made it available early in the game." The dungeon does a good job of introducing boomerang-based challenges and building on them. We first hit one crystal switch from a distance to open the path forward. Then we hit 2 in order to return to the first floor. On the lower floor, we find the boomerang is useful in combat, allowing us to make quick work of electric keys. We draw paths around corners to hit crystal switches, first to lower blue barriers while standing safely outside the bounds of a rising red barrier, and second, to hit a switch that would otherwise be out of reach. The path forward returns us to the second floor, where we use the boomerang to navigate more red and blue barriers, and to take out a second key-carrying mouse from a distance. On the third floor, concepts introduced all throughout the dungeon come together. We find a diagram on the wall showing us the order in which to hit 4 switches. We note it down on our map. We blow out 2 candles to access these switches and use the boomerang to hit them. We get a key which we use to head south. As we do, Ciela points out the boss door, which in Phantom Hourglass is really more like the boss lock box. We then use the boomerang to light torches. This is a new use, but it's in line with all the switch-hitting puzzles that we've faced. And we throw the boomerang around a far corner to extend a bridge, allowing us to reach the chest with the big key. The development of Phantom Hourglass took some clear inspiration from Four Swords Adventures. One area where we can clearly see this influence is with the big keys. Link must carry the big key over his head. This is in line with Four Swords Adventures, where the Links carried key items such as books, keys, and letters over their head until used. The big key is so big in this game that it weighs Link down and forces him to move at a walk. We must avoid a flame trap as we head towards the big key door. It is not particularly difficult, but it is trickier than it was when we were unencumbered. The fourth floor holds 2 tablets. One explains the fire temple protects the spirit of power. The other reveals a portal to the temple entrance. In past games, such as Link's Awakening, these portals were typically placed roughly midway through the dungeon, after a mini-boss fight. This time, we will find the portals mostly in the boss antechambers. I personally can't ever recall using a portal outside of the Temple of the Ocean King, but this would allow players who need it the chance to exit and stock up, before returning to face the boss. The boss is introduced as tense tremolos play on strings, creating a feeling of unease. His name is Blaze, Master of Fire. The boss music is big and dramatic, with a rising and falling melodic contour played on a keyboard with a horn-like quality, while string arpeggios keep the tension high. It's a great boss theme, perhaps even one of the best in the series, and it will be used for the majority of dungeon bosses in this game. Blaze is a tall, robed figure with a horned head and a hair of fire. It splits into 3 smaller creatures covered in flame. Each has a single horn on top of its head. At least that's how they appear on the bottom screen. On the top screen of the map, skulls representing the enemies have a different number of horns. One with 1, one with 2, and one with 3. We need to use the boomerang to grab the small blazelings in order. That will cause them to rejoin together, and then we can wail away at Blaze itself. After 3 or so rounds of recombining all the bosses and landing hits, Blaze fell. As the creature dies, it turns to sand, which flies into the air and disappears. The symbol of Din appears on the ground, and a purple light emerges from this symbol. It transforms into a red fairy. It introduces itself as Leaf, the spirit of power. Leaf says she was locked away with the Ocean King long ago, and could no longer feel his presence. She agrees to come with Link and Ciela to help them in hopes of learning the fate of the Ocean King. A white chest with a heart container inside appears, and a portal to exit the dungeon. We return to Astrid, who tells us that we need to find all 3 spirits, each who represent one piece of the Triforce. We have rescued power. Wisdom and courage remain. Astrid is unable to see their location, but she suggests that we return to the Temple of the Ocean King on Mercay Island for a clue. We'll do that next week. If you want to follow along, please subscribe. And if you've already subscribed, thank you. You are awesome. I'm Paul Riley, and I will see you next week.